Welcome back to a new chapter, Chapter 2, Methods of Separating and Purifying Substances, Section 2b, Filtration and Crystallization. By the end of this video, you will be able to describe how filtration can be used to separate mixtures, describe how crystallization can be used to separate mixtures, and recognize the hazards and risks when separating mixtures by filtration and crystallization. Let's start by thinking about solutions. A solution is what's formed when one substance dissolves into another. For example, here, if we add sugar on top of water, the sugar will dissolve in the water and they will form the following solution here. In chemistry, we call the substance that we aim to dissolve the solute in the substance that we aim to dissolve the solute in the solvent. In this case, the solute is the sugar that I added on top of the water. The sugar is the one that will dissolve inside the water and disappear. And the solvent in this case is the water because it's the one that made the sugar dissolve inside it. So the solvent here is the water. And we know from experience that the sugar will dissolve in water. But what if I have a substance that didn't dissolve in water or in the solvent I am using? What will happen here? In this case, this is an insoluble substance. So that means this substance cannot dissolve in the solvent. So whenever we use the term insoluble, it means this substance cannot dissolve in the solvent we are using. For example here, if we have sand and water and if we mix them together, the sand won't dissolve in the water. So I can call the sand as an insoluble substance in our solvent, which is here water. Whenever a substance is soluble or not soluble, it depends on the solvent you are using. For example, we know that the nail varnish will dissolve in nail remover and it won't just wash off in water. This means that you will describe nail varnish as soluble in nail varnish remover and it will be insoluble in water. So the nail varnish will be soluble in nail varnish remover, however, it will be insoluble in water. Now we have introduced the word soluble and insoluble. We can start to think about the technique of filtration. Filtration is a technique used in order to separate an insoluble substance, which is a solid, from any substances in the liquid state. So for example here, as we have seen the sand and water mixture, we can separate the sand from the water using filtration. In the following diagram, you can see the setup of the filtration, and it is really simple, and it is shown in this diagram. Here, our substance to be separated is in this beaker. We have the stand here, we have an Erlenmeyer flask here, and we have the funnel here. Inside the funnel, there is a filter paper that we have wrapped in a certain shape in order to fit in the funnel, and of course we are using a small glass rod. What will happen here is that the substance that will pass through the cone and will go down and be collected in the flask will be our liquid, and in this case it's water if we are using sand and water. So the liquid that is collected down here is called the filtrate. And the sand particles, they won't be able to pass through the filter papers because they are not small enough in order to pass through the tiny holes of the filter paper. However, they are larger, so they will stick on the filter paper and they will not mix with the solvent that will go down in the flask. So again, the solvent molecules, they are small enough to pass through the filter paper. However, the larger solute molecules, they cannot. That's why they stick on the filter paper. Examples of filtration. Examples of filtration are to be seen all around us. For example, cars, they have their own filters in order to filter so many things that come inside the car, like the fuel that we use inside the car and so many things else. Also, we have vacuum cleaners. In this case, this is the filter that is found in vacuum cleaners. They are very important in order to filter the things that come inside the vacuum cleaner. And of course, air conditioning systems. All of the air conditioning systems, they carry filters, and in this case, you can touch them and clean them. We can remove these filters, clean them, because they will carry all the dust from the air, and you can clean them and then set them back again. You will be surprised now by the fact that some animals have filters, and in this case, whales. Some whales use filters to feed. They open their mouths and take in water. When they close their mouths, they push out the water through filters. Small animals such as krill, they will get stuck in the filters of the whales, and later on, the whales will swallow these krills.